What's up, everybody? I get it. I have agents all the time being like, is now really a good time to buy? And the minute that you set down that confidence in your ability to provide value for your clients, and you're unsure of the market and unsure of how to advise people properly, that's when you set down your ability to be your very best and step up in a time of need. We're going to go into all of this. We're going to talk a lot about the market, the high interest rates, the high appreciation, the high prices. So stay tuned. What's up, guys? Jeremy Kane, Real Estate Agent Playbook. This one is something that I get often from my agents, and sometimes I've felt myself like, is now really a good time to buy? And I pride myself on being able to just advise, provide the facts, stick to the facts, know the market. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about, as we always do. So if you like what you hear, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening over on the podcast, please share this episode with your favorite real estate agent, because we're looking to grow that community as well. And I'm forever grateful for all of you guys out there on social. So let's kind of talk about this. And first and foremost, we have to get an overview of the market conditions. I'll give you a quick one, but you should know your hyper-local market for sure. In Denver, we've seen record appreciation over the last 4 or 5 years. The last year or two, going on 18 months, we've kind of seen high interest rates kind of creep in, and that has really stagnated our price appreciation. I think last year we were, 2 or 3% up overall. When you're talking median, it was a little less. So, for the most part, we're pretty flat, which is okay, especially considering what we've gone through over the last really 10 to 15 years in our real estate market. And so if that's what's been going on in your market, which I assume it has, because those lower interest rates really jacked up the price, we're now left to sit here and be like, okay, we had this crazy appreciation. The cost of living is going up. The cost of milk's high. The cost of everything's high. And the cost of the mortgage is high. Imagine that. And so as we continue to break that down, it certainly puts people in a little bit tighter spot when we're talking about it. But here in our market, when compared to rents, sure, your mortgage is going to be maybe $200, $300, $400 higher than your rents, but people are making rent happen like crazy, and you really have no control over it. And so those rents tick up just as the mortgage prices, just as the milk prices, everything kind of ticks up. And at the end of the day, we have to have somewhere to live. We have to have a roof over our head. And so as an agent, if you take a step back and you're like, okay, my job's to help people build wealth through real estate. My job's to help people make positive decisions. Now, certainly, we're not going to be in a market where this is going to be the greatest investment that doubles. When you take a $250,000 house and all of a sudden it's $450,000, $500,000 in a few years, like that's not realistic and that's not real, and we can't sell that. But what we can sell is a super secure shelter over people's heads that traditionally in our market has appreciated between 4 and 6% on the dot over 60 years. Pretty good investment, pretty safe place to lay your head. And so that's where we have to really talk about it. But in your market, those numbers might be different. So really dial in those numbers and just have that as a matter of fact. What we have done recently is really look at the investment, and we talk about it and the appreciation and getting in and being able to get all your mortgage insurance off, in a year or two when it should take 7, and all of those things. And we as agents don't really know what to do, right? I've coached agents who are like, I'm actually not super excited to make that call and pick up the phone and have the conversation that their house hasn't appreciated XYZ. Well, step back and understand that right in that moment, that's when you're able to be a resource to those people. That's when you are most valuable, when the decisions are harder, not when, you can get into a house and it, appreciates and everybody's happy and you can get, your mortgage insurance, you can get, you have 20%, loan to value immediately and all the things. Like, that's not really, and truthfully, that wasn't us. That was us just winning the bidding war to getting him in the house, and then the market took it. So don't own it 100%. Don't own the market, right? It wasn't your fault that they made so much money. It also isn't your fault when they don't make any money, or they maybe lose a little because, if they picked you up and called you right now and said, I need to sell this house, I just bought it last month. Well, there's no way that they're going to make the money after the fees and all that stuff in reality. And even in those crazy markets, they didn't. So kind of take a step back as an agent and just be a resource for people, talk them through it, counsel them through it. If it's, a divorce or, they absolutely cannot stay in that house for some reason that life came along, like help them rent it, look at their options. Right? People did actually used to take a loss when they sold a home. Not to say that's great, but in case of a life change like that, and they have to make a move, well, let's exhaust all options. Right? Head on over, try and rent it out for what you're, paying. And right now the problem is that you can't rent your house out for probably what a 0 down payment mortgage looks like, especially the next day. So you're going to have to do some things. You're going to have to figure out when the rates go down, refinance, and then those properties become, break even or cash flow properties. But you can't promise those things up front. And so know that and know getting into it, but also be a problem solver, right? At the end of the day, the buyers make a commitment to pay that loan at that amount for 30 years. Whatever they have to do to make that happen, they can do it. You don't have to rent your house out so it cash flows or, covers your mortgage. If it's that dire of a situation, maybe you're taking a hit. In fact, on my first rental, when I moved out of it, I was a terrible tenant and there needed to be a lot done. There was somebody that was building a house in the, canyon above, Fort Collins. He wanted to move in. He said, this is what I can afford because this is what I'm doing, but I will, take care of this. We'll get new carpet in, we'll paint, we'll do a lot of things. So he was using some of his extra supplies from his house to better my home. I paid for that. Right? I paid in the form of covering the mortgage and the difference. He was a great tenant, completely turned that house around for me. And so there are options, right? Sometimes we get so caught up in this, we have to cash flow. It has to be this, it has to be that. There's so many benefits to home ownership. And so when we as agents are like, oh, it's a high interest rate, high price market, like it's just not a good time to buy. Well, like if you're renting in my market, you're throwing away $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year to nothing. If you get in a home, maybe you have to have roommates and they're helping you out, but if you're going to rent with roommates, I mean, maybe this works. Maybe that's an option, right? So you got to be very particular. You have to focus on affordability. I don't know how many times I've said, call this lender, talk to them, but make sure you're talking about your monthly payment and what you're comfortable with. And granted, a lot of people are like, hey, I need a payment under $1,000. Well, that's not realistic, right? But we have to work through this. We have to make some sacrifices, maybe slow down on the Starbucks or, the gaming memberships or whatever that is, and we can get you into a home. So as an agent, we have to be able to counsel, we have to be able to talk. If you notice, I'm not selling a property. I'm not selling a house. Right? Look at it, make sure that, it's in the affordable range, make sure that it fits all of their must-haves, whether it's rooms for kids or extra bathrooms or whatever, and be that resource to help get them to the finish line on that house that they choose. And yeah, it's expensive. I tell people all the time, there's not a time in the last 3 or 4 years that I've seen a mortgage payment come across the closing desk that is less than mine. And I have a 3,600 square foot house in a nice suburb in Denver. Right. And so that's where we have to really focus in and be like, okay, what's this look like? What's the outer world look like? What are they used to paying for rent? And you're talking them through this, and you have to bring in the benefits, right? The benefits are no longer that it's going to double in value in 3, 4, 5 years. Right. That those days are gone. The low interest rates are gone. It's also not really a benefit that, hey, yeah, we can offer $100,000 over and this is only going to affect your payment this much because the interest rate's this. Like, those days are gone. So let's really look at it. Let's see what we're doing, right? Because if we can educate and communicate properly, there's all kinds of resources. There's money and concessions that we can build in to the offer that'll get the interest rate to an affordable rate. That'll make sure that that mortgage payment on the monthly is obtainable, right? And it might not be uber comfortable, but can you do it? Can you commit to doing it for 30 years? Because if you do it, you get XYZ. It's also important as an agent in these markets, high price markets, higher interest rate. what's this look like? Because if we're pushing the limit on, the monthly payment, and your client is pushing the limit on that, not just what they're approved for, but what they're comfortable with, then we have to make sure that they are aware, oh, that furnace is avocado green. Like, the inspector said that furnace is well past its life expectancy. The water heater could go. What's going to come up in these next, 5 to 10 years where this payment is, a little bit, intrusive, that we have to do. Your house has to have a furnace. Your house has to do this. And so we also want to look at options, right? It may be a little higher monthly payment, but you're not completely blowing your entire savings account as the answer. Maybe you can get into a CHFA loan here in Colorado, or a down payment assistance loan somewhere else, where you have the opportunity to keep that cash in case of emergencies, your rainy day fund. So these are the things that I'm talking to my clients about. And then it makes sense, right? It's like, okay, like, this is why I'm doing it, because just then we get to, the 40 times greater wealth. This isn't a, quick hit day trade, crypto boom thing, right? This is a place you get to live in. You get to make it your own. You get to improve along the way. And if you improve it, you take care of it along the way. In our market in Denver, you're going to reap the benefits. But at the same time, we just can't put ourselves in a position to have to sell when the market's down. And so these are the things that I'm talking to my clients about. And then at the end of the day, they're saying, okay, cool. And then the market is our friend, right? Because if the market goes up, that's great. They're banking on that appreciation. They're getting there. They're building that loan to value up. They're going to get rid of their mortgage insurance when they get to that 80-20, and we're going to be ready to go. But if it's flat, you've prepared them. Right? So who cares if you pick up the phone and say, hey, how you doing? This is kind of what the market value is, a little bit less than you bought it for. However, you still have a pretty big loan on that. And if you're just continuing to pay those mortgage payments, we're going to be okay. Is there anything that I can help you with the home? Like, are you looking to do some improvements? Are you looking to, make this home work for summer? Are you looking to turn that office into a bedroom, or, things like that? And then I'm helping them manage the asset. If you can be a resource to them, no matter if they've made $100 million on their appreciation, or they're flat, or maybe lost a little, just help counsel them, be a resource, because eventually the market will turn. Right? Through the worst downturn in, the history of real estate, homes have appreciated more than double what they were before the crash. And so it's about not selling when it's low. And if you do have to move, you have to have somebody to talk to. What are all my options? Because a lot of people think, well, I can't sell it, so I just quit paying the payments and foreclosure and all the things, right? Let's look to rent it. Let's couple it up, right? Maybe you have to rent it for this amount of money because this amount of money is this, and you have to have money to live, right? Let's look at the budget. Let's see what we can do. Maybe you parse it out and rent it by room, right? In Denver, I know if you rent homes by room, you get a little bit more overall. It's a little bit more chaotic, a little bit more work, legwork, but at the end of the day, it might be worth it. And so just be that resource, and don't be afraid to call people and have conversations, because they need you more than ever. They don't need me when I'm calling them and being like, well, it's another year and you gained another 100K on your house value. That's pretty cool, right? Oh, you need to refinance? Great. The interest rates are 2.5, right? It's not that anymore. So they need strategic partners, and that's exactly what you can do. And that's exactly why you should be the one that's helping people buy in these higher interest rates, higher price markets, because certainly higher price markets, I guarantee you in California, they didn't think the first time home buyer was going to be spending $1.2 million on their first home, right? Talk about a difficult market to break into. So let's talk about that. Let's be a resource, and let's continue to help people understand and gain the American dream, which is home ownership. So I hope this helps. I hope I gave you a few nuggets. If you have any questions, or you would like to book a game plan call with me, I'd love to talk to you about your business and help you understand and help prop you up and understand it's all going to be okay. Lots of changes coming, but this one will never change. Show up for your buyers, show up for your sellers, and you will be rewarded handsomely. We'll talk to you soon.